Yeah, my parents started Channel Islands in 1969, and I came along in 1972. So my whole life has been Channel Islands, and I remember just growing up in the factory. You know, my mom worked there, my dad worked there, and they were all in trying to make this business work. So that's where I was. If I wasn't at school, I was at the factory rolling around in foam dust and resin and fiberglass and playing with surfboards. The original CI thruster set is probably one of the most widely ridden and most referred to fins in the world today. I mean, you see it everywhere, and a lot of fins that people come out with are kind of based on that design. And my dad came up with that at Rincon. You know, the thruster was kind of still in its nascent period. It was a new thing that was being developed. And a lot of the fins were developing off of twin fins, so they were more upright, kind of that MR upright style, and the thrusters were sort of following that. But my dad realized that for good waves, you needed something with more rake, more down the line projection, and more drawn out turns. But that fin design really came out of my dad's fly fishing experience. He's an avid fly fisherman and spent so many years, still does, on the river. And what's happening on a river is you have water moving across surfaces. And that's what's happening with a surfboard as well. In fact, when my dad was teaching me to shape, he used to talk to me about picture a river in your mind when we're fishing and how the water flows over the rocks. And if the water flows over a rock, it creates this disturbance. You don't want that in the rocker of your board. You want to have smooth curves so there's not that disturbance and that wash. So he did the same thing with fins. He used to hold sticks in the water and see which ones would pivot the most quickly, what shape sticks. And he found that a stick with curve in it had a different sort of factor of pivot to it than a flat straight stick. And that was really the genesis for thinking about his thruster set. Yeah, as a designer, I always have fins in mind because fins change the way that a surfboard works so profoundly. That's what's so cool about a company like FCS and all the different fins that they have and the ease of switching them out. Is you can take a board and put a different set of fins in it and you have a different board. It's a huge thing. So in designing, I'm always thinking about fins. And that's a big benefit as a designer is how this board might go with those fins and then how it might change things if I change those fins. And as a designer, that's fertile ground. The CI upright fin really came from a need to sort of balance the CI family of fins. You know, we have our classic raked fin, which is perfect for good waves and down the line thrust and drawn out turns, but we're not always surfing waves like that. A lot of times we're surfing small waves or beach breaks that require quicker turns, more of a pivot type fin. In testing this fin, I rode the fin a lot. I'm a fin geek. I love fins. I love trying different fins. I've got boxes and boxes full of fins. So the first step for me is to ride the fin myself to kind of wrap my head around it and see what it does, and then take it to good surfers. And that always helps because they're the most critical and they have the deepest understanding of what's going on underneath their feet. The CI upright fin is ideal for surfers who find themselves surfing average waves or little beach breaks or bully little quick waves. That's what it's going to lend itself to because it's got a high rate of return. In other words, it's really fast and responsive, and it also generates a lot of speed. So most surfers are riding waves like that most of the time, where they've got to generate the speed and they've got to get from the bottom to the top very quickly. So it's going to work for most surfers most of the time.